Good morning folks, how are you guys doing today? So let's talk a little bit about mistakes and let's get it right out there straight away. They're inevitable. No matter how experienced or inexperienced you are, you've got more in front of you. It's a fact of life, it's a fact of being in business. Let's just accept it. But let's talk about how we can try to mitigate risk and reduce the likelihood of mistakes happening. I was once given a really good piece of advice by a mentor of mine when I was 19 years old. He looked me in the eye and said, "Charlie, everyone makes mistakes, but only a fool makes the same mistake twice. Really try to learn from other people's mistakes," right? Good wisdom. I've kind of tried to keep it with me as I've gone through life. So here's a few tips I've picked up along the way, mistakes that I've made that I'll share a bit with you in the hopes that you would avoid making them yourself as you progress forward. Plan before. Don't try and fix things afterwards, right? And this is a golden rule. If you're planning on taking on a property investment or a project, and your architect's going to cost money, your tax advisor's going to cost money, your lawyer's going to cost money, maybe you don't have much money, still get the advice. Plan it in advance. Think about all the scenarios. It is so much easier to get things right up front than it is to try to fix them afterwards. It'll cause you a world of stress and anxiety that you just don't need. You're better off spending a bit extra for really good advice from the right people in advance than trying to fix things afterwards. So I would urge you to keep that in mind. Act in a spirit of transparency. Make it your default thing to share information openly with people as opposed to trying to conceal it. It just avoids misunderstanding, it increases trust, it makes everyone on the same page, everyone's working together, there's no ill feeling, it's just better. Slight sense check when it comes to doing a property deal. Generally speaking, the conventional wisdom is share everything with your mortgage broker and your accountant, but just get your strategy clear before you're communicating explicitly with your solicitor, because they're duty bound to report certain things, especially if it's in writing. So I'm not suggesting for a second that you would do anything illegal, but when you're putting a deal together and you're thinking about the optimal structure, get together with your mortgage broker and figure out how you're going to do it, because by the time you've suggested you're doing something a certain way to your solicitor and then you change course, it might actually restrict your borrowing options down the line. So you're best off just getting your head around your strategy first with your mortgage broker, I would suggest, because that's going to be a fundamental thing to get the deal over the line. As with anything in property, maybe it's in business too, I would say plan for things taking longer than you expect and costing more than you expect. Just build in a nice layer of contingency, because surprises always come up, they're unavoidable, and the bottom line is, as long as you're prepared for them, over-prepared, it's not going to derail anything or cause you a huge amount of stress. So maybe just keep that in mind. Equally, always have multiple exit strategies, right? If you're going in and you're thinking you're going to do an HMO, make sure that you can repurpose it to a single let. Make sure you can repurpose it to whatever it needs to be, but have 3 or 4 different options that you can go in when the worst happens so that you can keep rolling on. Selling's obviously an option. Moving in yourself, perhaps, whatever it might be, but map those all out. And this comes into, again, planning in advance rather than trying to fix something afterwards, because in that scenario, if you don't have multiple exits, then you're saddled with a liability rather than an asset that you're having to pay the mortgage on each month, and you can't rent it. There's your worst case scenario. So make sure you're covered off. And I guess the final thing, and this is the one takeaway I'd give to you perhaps, always, always, always trust your gut instinct. If you have done all the research in the world and there's something gnawing away at you that you're not quite sure, it doesn't feel right, never ever ignore it. Particularly if it's, for example, a bad tenant that you're thinking to introduce into one of your properties. It only takes one to really screw your business up and cause you a lot of stress. If you're thinking of buying something but you're not sure about the area, if it's on a deep level, trust it, because you're smart, you've done this stuff, you know what you're doing, it's there for a reason, it's there to protect you, allow it to protect you. So look, you guys, what are your tips? What are your ways in which you avoid mistakes and keep things running smoothly? I'd love to hear them. Please comment below, get in touch with me, let's have a call, whatever you want to do. And I wish you all the very best for your Tuesday and the week to come. Okay, you guys, speak to you soon. Bye for now.